Hello students, how are you all? Welcome to online classes. In the last session we have completed lattice enthalpy, hydration enthalpy, enthalpy of solution and different processes we have completed. In this session I am going to discuss enthalpy of neutralization. Enthalpy of neutralization. Enthalpy of neutralization. Neutralization process you know already. Acid and base reacts together, then forms salt and water. The phenomenon is called neutralization. During that process, the amount of energy released called enthalpy of neutralization. The enthalpy change when 1 gram equivalent of acid completely neutralized with 1 gram equivalent of a base called enthalpy of neutralization. The enthalpy change when 1 gram equivalent of acid completely neutralized with 1 gram equivalent of base, 1 gram equivalent of base called enthalpy of neutralization. If it is under standard condition, delta H naught, right? Neutralization. Now we will observe a few cases. Enthalpy of neutralization is always negative. It is always. It means energy will be released exothermic reaction during the neutralization. Now, case 1, that is strong acid plus strong base, then give rise to salt plus water. So strong acid, any strong acid you can take like HCl, H2SO4, HClO4, HiO4. So whatever the strong acid that is, I am taking HCl plus strong base is NaOH, then give rise to NaCl salt and water. And for this, enthalpy of neutralization is equals to minus 57.1 kilojoule per. It means, so the enthalpy change when 1 gram equivalent of strong acid is neutralized with 1 gram equivalent of a strong base called enthalpy of neutralization, minus 57.1 kilojoules of energy will be released. Students, you observe here, H plus Cl minus, Na plus, OH minus, Na plus, Cl minus. Na plus and Na plus, left and right will be cancelled. Cl minus and Cl minus, left and right will be cancelled. The left is H plus and OH minus give rise to H2O. It is nothing but you can write it as H plus plus OH minus give rise to H2O. This is also enthalpy of neutralization, students. Value will be same. Clear it is? It means enthalpy of neutralization is equal to enthalpy of formation of 1 mole of water. So enthalpy of neutralization is equal to enthalpy of formation of 1 mole of water. Clear it is? Very important. One simple example, that is strong acid is H2SO4 plus strong base is NaOH, 2 moles I am taking, then give rise to Na2SO4 is a salt and 2 hydrogens are there, then you will get 2H2O. Clear? If 1 mole of water formed, minus 57.2 moles of water formed, 2 into minus 57.1. Enthalpy of neutralization is equal to 2 into minus 57.1. Very, very important. 1 mole formed only 57.1 kilojoules of energy released. This is the data given experimentally. 2 moles of water formed during the neutralization, 2 into minus 57.1. Right? This is the case 1. Next, case 2 students. Case 2. That is strong acid plus weak base. Then give rise to salt plus water. Common it is. Strong acid is HCl. Weak base is ammonium hydroxide. Then give rise to NH4Cl plus water. Enthalpy of neutralization for this process is strong acid and weak base minus 51.5 kilojoules per mole. Okay. Now, weak base is there. The dissociation of weak components are very difficult. That's why less amount of energy will be released. Next, after that, case 3 is, as it is one case 3 also, that is weak acid plus strong base gives rise to salt plus water. For this weak acid example, CH3COOH, acetic acid plus NaOH is a strong base, then gives rise to the salt is CH3COONA, water will be formed. For this reaction, enthalpy of neutralization is, so the value will be here. In the above one week, here also 1 week. Value will be same, that is 51.5 kilojoules per mole. Right? This is. Now, the last case is salts of case 4 is, right, weak acid plus weak base gives rise to salt plus water. This is the last case. Weak acid is CH3COOH. Weak base is NH4OH, ammonium hydroxide. When they neutralize with each other, CH3COO NH4 plus H2. Ammonium acetate salt will be formed along with water. Then here delta H neutralization is equal to, for this neutralization of weak acid and weak base, minus 49.8 kilojoules per mole. Minus 49.8 kilojoule per mole. Understood? You just observe, students. Neutralization of strong acid, strong base is more. Strong acid, weak base, or weak acid, strong base is little bit less, minus 51. Neutralization of weak acid and weak base, the value is very, very low, that is minus 49.8. Minus indicates releasing only 49.8 kilojoules of energy released. But strong and strong neutralization is 57.1 kilojoules of energy will be released. The reason behind this, why here more energy released, in weak case less energy released. The reason is, weak electrolytes cannot be dissociated into ions. It is very difficult to dissociate it into ions for neutralization purpose. That's why less energy released. Actually 57 must be released in the weak also. Only 49 released. What is the left amount of energy? The left amount of energy is required to break the weak electrolyte into ions. That is called ionization enthalpy. Clear it is? Actually 57 must be released in strong and weak case. But in weak case only 49 kilojoules released. The left energy, it means 57 minus 49. So you will get something value. That energy is used to break the weak electrolyte into ions for neutralization purpose. Clear it is? ionization enthalpy is equal to 57.1 minus 49.8. Then you get the value will be, the value is, ionization enthalpy value is 5.6, otherwise 7.3 here, 7.3 kilojoules per. This energy will be ionization. This is enthalpy of neutralization. Next is enthalpy of neutralization. If you observe clearly, strong acid and strong base. In strong case, Ka value increases. Ka means dissociation. Strong electrolytes like acid, strong acids or strong bases easily dissociated into ions and easily neutralized. Clear it is? Here also in strong cases, dissociation means the dissociation constant is Ka. Ka value increases. pKa value will be decreases. In strong case, more enthalpy of neutralization. Enthalpy of neutralization is very high. Correct? This is for strong acid plus strong base. Weak acid plus weak base neutralization. Ka value decreases. It means dissociation decreases. That's why Ka decreases. Ka decreases, pKa increases. Ka and pKa values are inversely proportional. That's why Ka decreases, pKa increases. Delta H neutralization will be decreased. By this, Ka increases, neutralization increases. Ka decreases, neutralization decreases. It means Ka value is directly proportional to enthalpy of neutralization. Very, very important. For strong electrolytes, dissociation constant value is more dissociation. That's why more enthalpy of neutralization, more energy released. For weak acids and bases, dissociation less, Ka value less. Obviously, the Ka value less means enthalpy of neutralization also less. Right? This is enthalpy of neutralization. Next, after this, spontaneity. Next topic is spontaneity. Now, right, the topic is spontaneity. Spontaneity means on its own, spontaneous process. The process or reaction which has a tendency to occur by itself or by proper initiation. Simply, a reaction occurs by itself called spontaneous reaction. So, the reaction occurs by external force called non-spontaneous reaction. Clear it is? Now, first one is spontaneous reaction or spontaneity. Spontaneity. It means the process or a reaction which has tendency to occur itself or by proper initiation called spontaneity. By itself, otherwise a proper initiation, that process named as spontaneity. Generally, if you observe all the natural processes, naturally For example, water evaporates in the presence of air on its own. Clear? You don't need to apply any external factor. All the natural processes are spontaneous. All the natural processes are spontaneous in nature. Right. Few examples. Spontaneous process where no initiation takes place. Spontaneous process where no initiation required. No initiation required. It means the process takes place by itself, by themselves. Such process examples I am going to discuss. Now, ice, it is ice converted into water liquid on its own. When you keep ice cubes outside, then obviously it becomes liquid water on its own. H2O liquid becomes H2O gas. It means water will be vaporized on its own. Right? Next, naphthalene balls. Naphthalene balls. Solid converted into naphthalene. So what is that? Gas on its own. Heat flow from high temperature to low temperature. Heat flow from high temperature to low temperature. Heat flow from high temperature to low temperature. Water flow from high level to low level on its own. Water flow from high level to low level. High level to low level. Like that, wide range of examples we can say. The process, all these processes are taking place on their own. Next one is spontaneous process. Spontaneous process where proper initiation required. Proper initiation required. So here you just start a reaction. Afterwards the reaction continuously going on by itself. For example, burning of candle. In the beginning you just ignite the candle with a matchbox. Then leave it. It burns continuously. It is made up of wax candle. Like that, many examples. Example 1, first one. Burning of candle by ignition. Burning of candle by ignition. By heating it is. Next example is methane combustion. CH4 plus 2O2 gives rise to CO2 plus 2H2 by ignition. Just you start this reaction by heating, but just you start heating it continuously going on. You don't need to apply any heat afterwards. Next, CaCO3 decomposes. CaCO3 decomposes. CaO plus CO2 by ignition. So this is by ignition. Right. Similarly, many more reactions, that is carbon combustion. C plus O2 gives rise to CO2 by ignition. It means these are by itself and this is by which one? Proper initiation. These are all under spontaneous process. For example, water flow from high level to low level. This is a forward reaction. Again, will it be possible to backward reaction? No. Low level to high level is difficult. Is it right or not? It means all the spontaneous processes are irreversible but not reversed. If you make them reverse, you need to apply some external force. Getting students, all of you? All the spontaneous processes are irreversible. All the spontaneous processes are irreversible. To make them reverse, only reversed by some external event, they will be reversed by some external force or external agency. Water flow from low level to high level by a motor. Motor is external agency. Is it right or not? So all the natural processes are spontaneous. All the spontaneous processes are irreversible, only one direction. To make them reverse, you need to apply some external force or external agency, right? So what about non-spontaneous process? Non-spontaneous process. It is the reverse one of spontaneous. Reverse statement you can say. That is, the process occurs neither by itself nor by proper initiation. It means the process do not occurs by itself or by proper initiation, called non-spontaneous process. Non-spontaneity or non-spontaneous reaction. Non-spontaneous reaction. The process or reaction occurs neither by itself nor by proper initiation. Neither nor by itself, by proper initiation, called non-spontaneous reaction. For example, water flow from low level to high level, difficult by itself. By external force, okay, but itself difficult to move water from low to high. Heat flow from low temperature to high temperature. Gases flow from low pressure to high pressure. Very difficult process. Right. Example. Water flow from low level to high level. Low level to high. Difficulties. Heat flow from low temperature to high temperature. Low temperature to high temperature. Dissolution of metal. Next. Gas flow from low pressure to high pressure. Next. Dissolution of metal. So metals are difficult to dissolve in water, non-spontaneous by itself. Hydrolysis of NaCl. Hydrolysis of NaCl. So many processes you can say, those are all non-spontaneous processes. Next. So what is the driving force required for a spontaneous process? First of all, what is meant by driving force? Driving force means the force which is responsible for spontaneity, called driving force. Driving force. The force which is responsible for spontaneity, called driving force, right? So what driving force required for spontaneity, and what is the nature of driving force for spontaneity? Now, nature of driving force. Nature of driving force. Driving force for spontaneity. So this is not very important. It means for spontaneous reaction, what is required for us? First one is, that is tendency to acquire minimum energy, that is, so minimum energy, delta H. Next, second factor is tendency to acquire maximum entropy, that is delta S. Last factor is delta G, that is Gibbs free energy change. These are the three factors which are responsible for spontaneous process. That's why these are the driving forces for which one? Spontaneous process. Now we'll discuss one by one. First one. First one is delta H. First one, tendency to acquire minimum energy, nothing much. Delta H is decreases means negative means exothermic. Clear? This is what our heading. Okay. You just observe, students. Anything in the nature is trying to become more stable. If it has more energy, anything has more energy, stable or unstable, it can move from one place to another place. There is no stability. For example, if you have more energy, obviously you can walk, you can go anywhere, you can do whatever. You are not stable. If you have less energy, you can sit very calm, silent. It means you are stable. It means anything in the universe is trying to become stable by losing its energy. Losing means releasing its energy. Obviously, energy becomes low. Energy becomes low in the sense. Energy losing means releasing means exothermic reaction. So exothermic reactions are spontaneous reactions, simply. Now, every molecule try to attain low energy. Every molecule try to attain low energy to become more stable, then energy released, it means exothermic reaction. So hence exothermic reactions are spontaneous. Exothermic reactions are spontaneous. Examples, students. C plus O2 gives rise to CO. Delta H equal to minus 393.5 kilojoules per mole. On its own it will be happen, but energy released is more. That is exothermic reaction minus delta H. Next, CH4 plus 2O2 gives rise to CO2 plus 2H2O. Delta H equal to minus 890 kilojoule per mole. exothermic reaction. H2 plus half O2 gives rise to H2O. H2 plus half O2 gives rise to H2O. Delta H is equal to minus 285.8 kilojoule per mole. So like this I can write number of exothermic reactions. Those are all under spontaneous process. So now limitations are, as I told you, delta H is minimum. Minimum means low energy. Minimum means releasing. It means negative exothermic. But limitations are there for this nature of driving force. Few reactions are endothermic but spontaneous, right? Few reactions delta H value will be 0 but spontaneous. Why? And one more is there, another one. Few reactions are reversible but spontaneous. Getting all of you? So these are the limitations of this driving force. Limitations of this driving force. Among them, first one is few reactions are spontaneous exothermic reactions. Few reactions are endothermic but spontaneous. Endothermic but spontaneous. As I told you, exothermic only spontaneous, but drawback is there. Few are endothermic but spontaneous. How it is? So now examples. Ice converted into H2O. Ice converted into liquid water. Liquid water. Okay. Delta H is equal to plus 6 kilojoules per mole. Plus means endothermic, but itself it will be happened, but endothermic, that's why spontaneous. Next, liquid water liquid, H2O liquid is converted into H2O, that is gas. Delta H equal to plus 40 kilojoule per mole. Delta H is positive, but water liquid is converted into gas by himself, that's why it is spontaneous. Like this, many more we can write, students. So this is first drawback. Second drawback is few reactions are reversible but spontaneous. As I told you, spontaneous reactions are irreversible, only forward reaction but not backward. But exceptionally, few reactions are reversible. One is forward, another one is backward, but spontaneous. This is one drawback. So examples are H2 plus I2 gives rise to 2HI. Again, 2HI becomes H2 plus I. It means H2I2 converted into HI. HI converted into H2I. Clear it is? Similarly, another example is N2 plus 3H2 gives rise to 2NH3. Again, 2NH3 becomes N2 plus 3H2. Like this, many examples you can take. Next, for few reactions, delta H value will be 0. For third one, few reactions, delta H will be 0 but spontaneous. Right? Actually, delta H must be negative for spontaneity. A disadvantage is if positive also for few reaction, spontaneous. If 0 also for few reactions, spontaneous. Hydrolysis or ester formation. Example is ester formation. CH3COOH plus C2H5OH gives rise to CH3COO C2H5 plus H2O. For this, delta H value becomes 0. No heat is released, no heat is absorbed. But even then it is a spontaneous reaction. So, based on all these limitations, actually delta H must be negative, then only the spontaneous process taking place. But because of these limitations, delta H not only decides the spontaneity, another factor is required to decide a spontaneous reaction. Clear? That factor is a second one, entropy. Getting all of you? Right. Based on above limitations or drawbacks, delta H, we concluded that delta H only one term cannot express. We can concluded that delta H only one factor cannot decides the spontaneity. Another factor also required, spontaneity. Therefore, a new term is required. Therefore, new term is required to decide spontaneity. So, by these drawbacks of the first factor, by looking that factor only, you cannot decide whether it is spontaneous or non-spontaneous. To decide the spontaneity, we need one more factor, that is, so entropy delta S required. Okay, second factor we discuss. Okay students, not only by delta H we can decide the spontaneity, we need another factor, that is delta S, entropy. Entropy means it is a degree of randomness, a measure of degree of randomness, disorder in a molecule or in a particular substance called entropy. Entropy means indicated by S. It is a measure of degree of randomness or disorder called entropy. Generally in our nature students also, for example, you are listening class, every time common thing, it's a student psychology. So you will try to go to outside. In your class, you are in a great order. Each bench contains 4 members, every direction order is there. So if you wanted to go out, if you went out, obviously there is no order. So in the nature, every substance is trying to become disorder. Clear it is? So disorder increases, S value is more positive. The nature of every object is, to become more disorder. It means more randomness. Randomness increases, so it means spontaneous. Randomness or disorder increases, entropy increases. It means delta S will be positive. That is called spontaneous. Everything in the nature trying to become more disorder, more free. Free in the sense we can live on our own. So anywhere, any type of living, whatever it is, it means a disorder, nothing but order to disorder. Disorder increases, entropy will be positive, entropy increases, then only it is spontaneous. For example, there is a water in tank, order, water molecules. When I on the tap, then water flow from high level to low level. While coming to the low level, water will go in any direction with disorder, high level to low level, spontaneous, order to disorder, spontaneous. Clear, students? Now, examples. Examples. CaCO3 gives rise to CaO plus C. CaCO3 is a solid gas. Observe, students, solid reactant is converted into gas. Solids, molecules are tightly held together. Less disorder, more order. Gases moving apart from each other, more disorder. Solids, less disorder. Clear? Gas, more disorder. Disorder increases, entropy increases, spontaneous reaction. Like that. Next, H2O liquid to gas. Liquid to H2O gas. Liquid more order, gas disorder. Disorder increases, entropy increases, spontaneous reaction. Now H2O ice to liquid. H2O ice, solid to H2O. In solid, molecules are tightly held, there is a great order. Liquid, loosely held together, disorder. Disorder increases, entropy increases, obviously spontaneous reactions. These two factors, I told you delta H and delta S. These two factors work on a same direction or opposite direction. These two tendencies are independent on each other. These two tendencies independent on each other, but may act in the same or different direction, may act in same or opposite direction. For example, first case, delta H absent, for example. Delta S decides spontaneity. Okay? Second, delta S absent. If delta S is not there, delta H decides spontaneity. If both are present, delta S, delta H present, then it is very difficult to decide spontaneity. In that case, we need a third factor to say whether the reaction is spontaneous or non-spontaneous. When both the tendencies are same, third factor is required. When both delta H and delta S tendencies are same, then third factor required to decide spontaneity. Correct? So, students, delta H low, spontaneous. Not only by delta H, one more factor we need, that is delta S maximum, spontaneous. But both are present and both tendencies are same, then to decide spontaneity, these two factors are not sufficient. That's why we need a third factor called delta G. Clear it is? So I hope you understand this topic. We'll continue in the next session.